Hello everyone, welcome to the channel ICT Training Nepal. So today I am going to talk about the software development life cycle. And I have this slide, and this slide is from the Madhusmita Nandi, and I like this slide, so I am going to talk about the software development life cycle through this slide. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, let's get started about what we are going to learn in this lecture session. Okay, so first of all, we are going to learn about what is SDLC, means software development life cycle. Why SDLC, SDLC phases, popular SDLC models, dependencies for choosing the SDLC model, which model we are using in automotive industry. Okay, so let's go forward. So the objectives, let's see about the objective. So software development life cycle means you have to see here. First of all, example of achieving a goal. Okay, so how we achieve a goal, right? So first of all, let's talk about write down your goal, set a deadline, work on your mindset, develop your skill set, take the first step, continue to completion, reward yourself. Okay, so it's like achieving a goal. Software development life cycle is like a life cycle or the phases of the software development, how the software development will be done efficiently. And it's like the life cycle of the human beings: first birth, after that young, and then the education and a lot of the things, and after that deaths. Okay, so it's like the life cycle of the human beings. So everything, if we go from the life cycle, it will be easy, it will be helpful, and it will be easy to achieve the goal. Okay, so it have the requirement analysis, feasibility study, design, coding, testing, installation or deployment, and at last maintenance. So these are the phases of the software development life cycle. So these are the phases. So these are the basic phases. Okay, in every model, these are the basic phases. Okay, so let's go more towards the popular software development life cycle model. Okay, so Waterfall Model, Incremental or Iterative Model, Spiral Model, Big Bang Model, Agile Model, and the V Model. Okay, so maybe you have heard those models. So let's go about the SDLC models. So you can think of SDLC models as a tool that you can use to the better delivery of your software project. So these models are the better tools. Okay, you can think like it's a tool, right? It's a tool to make the better software project. Okay, therefore knowing and understanding each model and when to use it is the advantage and disadvantage of each one are important to know which one is suitable for the project content. So right, so first of all, let's think about some project, like any type of project. So before starting that software project, we have to see which model suits on that project, and then if we go on by that, it will be helpful for you to achieve the goal of your software. So first of all, let's go towards the waterfall model. So in waterfall model, we have the requirement analysis, means we have the requirement. We take the requirement and analyze the requirement. Okay, so we have the requirement analysis first, and then system design, we design the system, and then the implementation, and then testing, deployment, and maintenance at last. So this is the waterfall model, and this is the very first and the very old model, and it also known as the linear sequential model. Okay, so it also known as the linear sequential model. So let's talk about its advantage and disadvantage. So waterfall model, because it is the first model, it is simple and easy to understand, and the thing is clearly defined stages. So the stages are clearly defined. First we take the requirement, and we design, and we develop, and then we deploy. Okay, so delivery of each phase are well defined, and this lead to no complexity and makes the project easily manageable. So it will be easily manageable by using the waterfall model, but the disadvantage is it is time consuming and cannot be used in the short duration project. Okay, so it cannot be used in short duration project, and the other thing is it is difficult to measure the progress within a stage, and the next thing is cannot accommodate changing requirements. So things is the software development means it's not like the hardware. You developed one hardware, and after that you don't need to upgrade it on that. Okay, so it's not like that. The software means it's changing day by day, it's changing like month by month, it's changing by the customer requirement. First of all, the customer said that or the user said that I need this kind of software. After that, by using that applications, and you want to add more features. So the waterfall model is not cannot accommodate the changing requirements. Okay, so the V model, the other model is called the V model, is also known as the verification or the validation model. Okay, so point is down, it also known as the verification or the validation model. Okay, so in the model, verification and validation goes hand in hand. Development and testing goes parallel. Okay, so it's like the hand in hand. V model and the waterfall model are the same, except that the test planning and the testing start at the early stage in the V model. So what happens is the development and the testing goes in parallel. You are developing as well as you are testing in the V model, but not in the waterfall model. Okay, so let's see the process: planning, requirement, architecture, detailed design, and implement. Okay, so if you go on the planning, and then if you go on the requirement, so here the system and acceptance testing is going on. Okay, so architecture, integration testing is going on. Okay, detailed design, unit testing is going on, and then implementation, and it goes like the maintenance in the last phase. Okay, so the other example or the advantage of the V model is it is simple and easy to understandable model. So it is also the simple. V model approach is the good for the small projects. So if you have the big projects, if you are trying to do the big software development project, so it may be not the good approach where the requirement is defined and it freezes in the early stage. So if the requirement is not fully defined, it is not usually used. So the other thing is it is the systematic and disciplined model which result in the high quality product. So the thing is the high quality product can be given by the V model. So if you want to make some small applications like this Android application, then you can use this type of the V model. And the Android application is not you want to develop one Android application like some kind of news applications or something like that. So the small projects you are if you are going to do the small projects, you can use this V model. Okay, and disadvantage: V-shaped model is not good for ongoing projects. So it is not good for the ongoing projects. Requirement change at a later stage would be cost high. So at the end, if the requirement changes, it will cost too high. Okay, so high risk and uncertainty. Once the application is in the testing age, it is difficult to go back and change the functionality. So the once the application is tested, what happens is you are not going back. Okay, so if you go back, it is difficult to change the functionality. And the other model is called the incremental or iterative model. Okay, incremental or iterative model. The basic idea behind this method is to develop the system through repeated cycles, iterative cycles, and in the smaller portion at a time, like it is going in the iterative cycle. Okay, so the iterative incremental model divides the project into small chunks. So what happens here is it breaks down the product into the small chunks. Phase of iterative and incremental development model are inception phase, elaboration phase, construction phase, and the transaction phase. So here the requirement, and here is the build 1, build 2, build 3. So what it is going on, it is developing like in the small chunks. Okay, so the task is divided, or the development is divided in the small chunks: design, development, testing, implementation, design, development, testing, implementation, design, development, testing, implementation, and at last it will be compiled. Okay, so it is like the iteration 0, iteration 1, iteration 2. So it's like a repetition as needed. Project setup, plan, develop, and the feedback, plan, develop, test, and the feedback, and develop, test, and release the products. Okay, so it goes in the iteration. So the advantage, some working functionality can develop quickly and in the early life cycle. Okay, so these are the advantages. Results are obtained early, periodically. Parallel development can be planned. Progress can be measured. Risks are identified and resolved during iteration. In each iteration, it is easily managed milestone. With every increment, operational product is delivered. Risk analysis is better here. Because why the risk analysis is better here? You can go back to this. It is all because we are developing, we are testing in the small chunks, in the small functions. Okay, so it support the changing requirements. If you want to change requirement here, you can like repeat the iteration and you can change the requirement. Okay, so better suit for large and the mission critical projects. So it is better for the large projects. Disadvantage: complete requirement and understanding of the product are required to break down. So before you break down, you need to understand the product, right? You need to understand the requirement, because before break down all the functionality and all the things you need to complete. You have to be there should be the complete requirement. You have to understand. Okay, more resources may be required. So what happen is, if you break down into the small pieces, the thing is, the more resource may be required, like the man power, or other thing is the devices. So although the cost of the change is lesser, but is not very suitable for the changing requirements. Okay, so it is not so much suitable for the changing requirements. More management attention is required, not suitable for smaller projects. Highly skilled resources are required for risk analysis. Project's progress is highly dependent upon the risk analysis phase. Okay, so these are the advantages and the disadvantages. So the other thing is the Agile model. Okay, so the Agile model, which is nowadays increasing day by day. The Agile model is the combination of the iterative and the incremental model. Okay, so it is the combination of iterative and incremental. This model focuses on more flexibility while developing the product rather than the requirement. Okay, so it is more focused on developing the product rather than the requirement. In the Agile, the project it breaks down into the small incremental builds. Each build increments in the term of the features. Okay, the next build is on the built on the previous functionality. So the agile iterations are termed as sprints. So those iterations are termed as sprints. Each sprint lasts for 2 to 4 weeks. At the end of each sprint, the product owner verifies the product, and after that his approval, it is delivered to the customers. Okay, so here the requirement analysis, design one, coding, testing. So what is the difference here is we are doing the thing in the iteration. Okay, so we are doing the things in the sprint. Okay, so one requirement analysis, design, coding, testing, and it is done. If it is done, and the second one started, and the third one started at last, deployment. But before the deployment, customer will approve every. You have to show the customers in every sprint, in every increments. Okay, in every iteration, and then the deployment and the maintenance. So here the check-in, daily build, separate build, iteration, and project. So from here, project, iteration, separate build, daily build, check-in. So the advantage, it allows more flexibility to adopt the changes. The new features can be added easily. Customer satisfaction as the feedback and the suggestion are taken in every stage. Okay, so these are the main thing. Resources requirement is minimum. Disadvantage, lack of documentation, not suitable for handling complex dependencies. Agile needs experienced and highly skilled resources. Depends heavily on customers' interactions. So if the customer is not clear, the team can be driven to the wrong direction. So the thing is, it is depend heavily on the customer. Okay, so the agile model depend heavily on the customers' interaction. So if the customer is not clear, the team can be driven to the wrong direction. Transfer of technology to the new team's members may be quite challenging due to the lack of documentation. So due to the lack of documentation, it will be quite challenging to transfer the technology to the new team members. Okay, and the other model is called the spiral model. So look at this, it's the pictures of like the spiral. So here is the planning, risk analysis, engineering, and evaluation. Okay, so the advantage of risk analysis is done extensively using the prototype model. Any enhancement or the change in the functionality can be done next iteration. Disadvantage, it is best suited for the large project only. The cost can be high as it might take a large number of iterations, which can lead to high time to reach the final project. Okay, so let's go back here. So what happened here is planning, risk analysis, evaluation, engineering. So it goes on until the project is completed. So by this, what happens is the cost will be high. Okay, and the other thing is the big bag model, right? The other model is big bag model. It doesn't have any defined process. It doesn't require much planning and scheduling. The developer does the requirement analysis and coding and develop the product as per his her understanding. This model is used for the small projects only. There is no testing team, no formal testing is done. So the advantage is it is very simple model, less planning and scheduling is required. The developer has the flexibility to build the software of their own. The big bang model cannot be used to large, ongoing, or the complex projects, so the high risk and uncertainty. So it is all depend on its for example, it is like the full stack developer, right? Full stack software developer does all the things, or here there is the full stack web developer. So those kind of the things done by the full stack developer. Okay, and the other model is called the prototyping model. So here what happens is the requirement gathering, analysis, and then prototype development. So the new thing is here is first of all requirement gathering, and then analysis, and the prototype development. After the analysis, prototype development started, develop the prototype, and then client evaluation. And if the client says that they suggested for the improvement, it goes like here, it goes in this cycle. And if the client is like satisfied with the prototype, and then it will go to the design, coding, integration and testing, and then the deployment. Okay, so here the prototyping model, extreme prototyping. It is used for the web application mainly. Basic, it breaks down to the web development to the 3 phases on each based on the preceding one. The first phase is the static prototype, and it consists mainly on the HTML page. It's like the wireframe, right? So it's something like the wireframe. The second phase, the screens are programmed and fully functional using the simulated service layers. And the third phase, the services are implemented. Okay, so the new thing here is the DevOps SDLC model. Okay, so what is DevOps? Development and operation, it is combined. Okay, the development and the operation is combined. So it is the latest methodology of the SDLC model, and for the newcomer, the advantage of using this model is an organization risks is reduced and the changes become the more fluid. Amazon Web Service says that the DevOps methodology, DevOps is the combine of the cultural philosophies, practices and tools that increases an organization's ability to deliver applications and services at high velocity, evolving and improving product at the faster pace that organization using the traditional software development and the infrastructure management process. Okay, so if you are going through this like these are all the things, then you may be confused. You can just see here development, QA, operations. So these 3 things, and here is the DevOps. So what happens is development and operation. Okay, so it connects the development, it connects the QA, it connects the operation, and the DevOps SDLC models works like that. Okay, so the other one is the lean SDLC model. It is closely interconnected with the Agile. Okay, so it is currently with the Agile. Teams are also focused on the cut waste and finding the opportunity at even turn throughout the SDLC process by dropping the unnecessary meetings and reduce the documentation timing. So these are all the things like lean. You can just see like here is a lean means the process which are like cut out all the waste and develop in the lean process, means develop in the lean process through which it will be easy to develop at required time or before the time. Okay, so the main difference in Agile and the lean with the respect to customer satisfaction is Agile give the top priority to the stakeholder feedback, and the lean emphasize the elimination of waste to create more value for the customers, that to enhance the satisfaction. Okay, eliminate waste, amplify learning, dedicate as last possible, deliver as fast as possible, empower the team, build integrity in, see the whole. Okay, so these all are the lean. So dependencies, so the factors, all the dependency, the factors by which we can like in which type of requirement, in which type of systems we can just use the models, the software development models. Here is those factors like the unclear user requirement, waterfall model poor, V-shaped poor, eventually prototyping good, and spiral excellent, good and excellent. Okay, unfamiliar technology poor, excellent, good, poor. Okay, so the complex system good, because in the complex system we can use this, and the excellent, good, and the agile is poor. Okay, reliable system good, here poor, Excellent, good. So these all are things you can just look at this. And short time schedule, and the strong project management, cost elimination, visibility of stakeholders, skills limitation, documentation, and the other one is the compound reusability. Okay, so let's go towards the team. Okay, so let's go toward the team. Okay, choosing the right team. Okay, so the thing is that choosing the right team. Okay, choosing SDLC model is also depends on the size of the team and the nature of the team. Okay, so if you have the small size or if you have the big size team, so how stable are the requirements? Who are the end users of the systems? Is the timeline aggressive or conservative? What is the size of the project? Where are the project teams located? What are the critical resources? So these all have to be considered in the software development process. Okay, and the timeline. Okay, the timeline is also one of the most important thing in the software development life cycle. Okay, the timeline for each phase for the software development will meet the properly if we choose the proper model of SDLC within the proper requirement. Okay, so the timeline, like you have to make timeline analysis, designing, coding, and testing. So it depends on the proper model, and then the timeline will be easy for the proper requirement, to develop the proper requirement. Okay, so which software development life cycle we are following in automotive industry. So here is like the waterfall model here, agile model here, and the V model here, and the other is the incremental model here. Here the results. Okay, so these things. Thank you so much, and please don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. Thank you.